And what's your pleasure?
From the Thomaston Place Auction Galleries in Thomaston, Maine, I'm Elizabeth McLeod with Auction Waves.
1,175 once, 100,175 twice. We all good? Sold.
Auctioneers are made, not born. Or maybe they are born and they just don't realize it. On this edition of Auction Waves, we'll meet an apprentice auctioneer learning the profession under the tutelage of Master Auctioneer Kaja Veilleux. But first, the latest auction news. The new auction season is well underway, and at Thomaston Place Auction Galleries, our calendar is taking shape. April 24th will see our next full-day jewelry auction with a selection of exquisite pieces carefully curated for your bidding pleasure. And a special Western aesthetic auction on May 15th will feature an impressive collection of pieces suggestive of the spirit of the Great Old West. And preparations are underway for our first big sale of the summer, with Summer Splendor 2026 scheduled for June 26th, 27th, and 28th. There is still time to consign your items for that important sale. But hurry, the consignment window for Summer Splendor closes April 17th. Learn more at thomastonauction.com. This is Auction Waves, and I'm Elizabeth McLeod.
Get your beds in. Water's warm. You said $3,000, Emily, looking for $3,250?
There's no wonder like the wonder of discovery. And when you discover a talent you didn't know you had, well, it just doesn't get any better than that. Here at the gallery, a member of our marketing department has discovered an unexpected career path, and today on Auction Waves, we're happy to let you get to know the auctioneer's apprentice, Connor Johnson. And I guess the first question would be, who is Connor Johnson? From whence did he come, and how is it that he now walks among us?
From Northern Virginia, actually, originally. Moved up here about 6 years ago working for a TV show. But I'd like to say that I've always been involved in sales. When I was a young guy, maybe 4th, 5th grade of elementary school, I invested what I could in a plow for the front of my father's tractor, and I would go around in Virginia knowing that not many people had the right amount of supplies to take care of the snow down there when we had a big storm. And I would charge a pretty penny per driveway, let's say. And that's how I got started in the sales business, so to speak. But always loved marketing, and I saw an opportunity arise on Indeed.com, actually. Got an interview, and I have not regretted since. And the thing that I like so much about Thomaston Place Auction Galleries, or any auction house for that matter, is it's an ever-changing market. There's always something new to advertise or to market. It's just always fun. One day I'm marketing some fine art piece, and then the next day I'm marketing an antique car. It's always changing. You never know what's around the corner, and that's what I love.
I think that draws a lot of us to this business.
And it's always changing. It's always a surprise. And Kaja has those free appraisal days, and he comes over all excited about this new piece, and how are we going to target the right buyer from that? That's always the game, and it's a fun game.
So a lot of people who gravitate to the auction and antiques business find their way to it after a lifelong interest in collecting. Were you a collector growing up?
I wouldn't describe myself as a collector, although I did collect things like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards, and you'd be surprised if you look at the market online today. Some of those Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards are worth thousands of dollars. So otherwise, no, I wouldn't have recognized myself as a collector growing up. But I do like to collect little items like sea glass, or as I call them, glass rocks, and I use them to make jewelry. So I do like to repurpose things that some might consider trash.
And I think that that's a wonderful thing to be able to do, because you take things that have only a nominal value and you impose value upon them. And I think that that is a talent that few people have in this world. Most people take value away from things.
I believe it, yeah.
I imagine for a lot of people who've come of age in the last 20 years, their first exposure to the whole idea of an auction was something that they encountered online, eBay or something similar to that. Did you ever interact much with that type of sales environment when you were young?
I love cars. So I would watch, Mecum auctions and things like that, and I just love seeing the value of the cars just skyrocketing through the roof. Like a car that you'd see every day and have no idea it's worth as much as it is. And that's kind of the same thing in an auction world. You have some piece of Americana in a cabin that's been sitting there for 40 years. Little did you know it's worth 10 to 20 grand if you brought it to an auction. You'd be surprised, but that's how I started, was cars and my love of cars and just watching those auctions.
One day you're here working at your desk and you're approached about learning to be an auctioneer. Now, how exactly did that come about? I remember kind of when that started, but I never really knew the story behind it.
It was funny. We were downstairs preparing for an auction, actually, and Kaja was in the building, and I randomly went up to the podium, and I just started calling out numbers and calling names, pretending I was auctioneering. And I looked over at Kaja. He had this kind of skeptical, stern look on his face that I couldn't read. I was like, well, he's either amused or annoyed, and I'd like to find out what. And right after I was done, shortly after, he comes up to me and says, would you be interested in auctioneering? So I said, well, he must have been amused. And I was excited. And of course, I jumped on. I said, yes, why not give it a shot? If you're given an opportunity like that, why would you turn it down? So that's how it started, just by me trying to amuse others, as I tend to do, as you do yourself, right, Liz?
We do try to keep the mood light in the office.
Yes, we do.
And you certainly do contribute amply to that.
Well, thank you.
Well, when you decided that you were going to take this seriously and actually give it a try, what is the first thing that you did to prepare?
I drank a cup of coffee. I like my voice when I have a cup of coffee. It's too bad I didn't do that before this interview. But I would say auctioneering sayings. I looked up some general auctioneering sayings and put my own spin on it, because I can't take Kaja's "What's your pleasure?"
Right.
I mean, he's really coined that.
Everybody has their own catchphrase.
And I don't think there's a better one than "What's your pleasure?" I think that's top up there for me. I'll be honest, I was more nervous about this podcast than sitting in front of a crowd.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
believe it or not, yeah.
I have met people who have what you call mic fright.
Sure.
Which is why I put the microphone between the two of us, so
Okay.
that you can talk to me and just ignore this piece of hardware standing in.
Smart move.
You can't do that with a live audience.
No.
And there's a lot of performance involved in auctioneering. And when I talked with Kaja, when I interviewed Kaja last year, we talked about that and how he really kind of enjoys that aspect of being up there at the podium and kind of, and I come from a performance background, so I know the feeling of excitement that you get when you can make an audience react to the things that you're saying or doing on the stage. Is that something that comes naturally to you? Because I'm inclined to think that it does.
Well, I would say that the beauty of being in front of an audience, especially one that's like, let's say 20 to 30 people, is that you can gauge their reactions and play off of it. You can include them, get the audience involved, but you can also see what's working and what's not working. The thing about something like vintage accents, where it's mainly online and you only have audio to rely on, you can't really get there's no way to get the audience involved, but I can get the auctioneer or the auctioning clerks involved, the people involved with, placing the bids online, accepting bids. And those are the people I can at least get a reaction from. Like, was that funny? Am I pronouncing this right?
when I was in radio, I would work that way.
Sure.
I would try to get the reactions of people in the studio, because I knew there was no audience in front of me. But you can really modulate your performance by simply making eye contact with another person in the room and gauging how they're taking what you have to say. And it's the same thing that you're talking about here. That's a lot of performers go years without learning that trick. So yes, I have kind of assumed that you were a born performer just from some of the things that I've heard you do in the office. But you're in a position here at Thomaston Auction to learn the business from a master of the profession, Kaja Veilleux. How have you found that mentor-student relationship with him?
I found that he's patient with me. He's not like just jumping to push me off the helm. He gives me a chance, and he's been putting me in there. I guess after my first auction, I thought, boy, I wonder what he thought of that. Because I know I made some hiccups here and there, but he's certainly been a good support in the whole thing, knowing that he's so experienced, and we recognize him as a very professional auctioneer and world-renowned auctioneer, and that just gives me some faith in myself that what I'm doing is worthwhile. Not wasting time.
I've enjoyed when I watch you at the podium, I will kind of sneak a look over at Kaja. And sometimes he's just sitting there eating a sandwich. But he's watching you. You know, he's
Yeah,
looking
right.
at you. He's keeping an eye on you.
Yes.
And it's never a sense that he's going to come swooping down and say, that's wrong, do it a different way. and I think that really, you two really work well together that way.
Well, I play off him because sometimes he'll look at me and try to whisper, get my attention, go, that's a good one. And I'll say something like, oh, Kaja likes it, you should too. You know? So it does help.
Well, I've heard that line.
It does help having him chime in here and there, for sure.
Do you find it challenging to sell items that you perhaps don't have a lot of personal experience with? Now, I'm speaking specifically of back during the Autumn Majestic sale. You were put on during the doll section.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I thought, and I mean this absolutely sincerely, Connor. I mean this. That was a brilliant performance. You did that so well, and I was so impressed with that. Is that something that's easy for you to do?
Well, I would say this, when it comes, back to the first part of the question, if it's something you don't know, research a little bit ahead of time. Like there has been a time where Kaja put me in the middle of a feature auction just like that, with a snap of a finger, and I had no preparation, and I hadn't looked at the lots beforehand, and I jumped in, and that's difficult. I mean, if you can't pronounce it, if you really don't know much background about it, that's good luck trying to sell that, right? You got to have some knowledge of what you're selling,
Exactly.
And with the dolls, I did a little bit of research, and I just kind of played along with it. Like, thinking most people in that situation holding these antique dolls, they'd be, oh, this is it. What do you want? But I at least learned a couple terms, and it sounded like I knew what I was talking about.
You came across as someone who was interested in what you were selling. You were observing the dolls. You were looking at the markings on the necks. You knew that was something to look for.
Right.
You had clearly done your homework, and you did not seem uncomfortable or out of place, which was something that I think for a lot of that would have been hard to do, to put somebody up at a podium with something that they aren't familiar with.
I will say you're right. Just doing a little bit of research gives you a lot more confidence to be talking in front of an audience, at least having some terms that you can refer to during the auctioneering, because there are lulls where you're bidding, and you don't want to just jump to the next lot, and you got to give them some time, because some people are online and they're just waking up to, oh, that's the lot I wanted to bid on. So you got to give them a chance, and so you got to give them some filler. You can't just sit there holding a doll with a blank face.
Exactly, because they're going to look back and forth and wonder which one is the doll.
Right.
Now, when I was in radio, we would say that someone had great pipes, and that was the height of compliment that you could give to someone. It means, of course, that you not only have a good voice, but you also know how to use it to its full extent. And you have, and I mean this sincerely, you have great pipes. Do you practice vocal technique before you call an auction?
Well, as you mentioned, you sit right around the corner from me at the office, so I'm sure you hear me randomly singing in Michael McDonald's falsetto, as I like to do. I just like to keep things lively. So no, I don't practice it for a professional career purpose, but I just like to sing, I have fun doing it. It seems to make you smile.
It does. And that you're able to do that is a sign that you have not only a good voice, but you also have a sense of rhythm and melody. Which brings me to my next question. Are you working up a distinctive auction chant?
Now, an auction chant, no, because when I hear auction chant, I kind of think of cattle call, not exactly like a phrase,
Right.
Like, I think what you mean more so like... I'm not going to be doing that. I love the way Kaja does it. He has a nice pace, and he's not kind of doing the repetition. He's more so calling it as it is, like a true salesman is,
Exactly.
And that's kind of the pace I'd like to go.
Where do you hope this career path takes you?
When an opportunity is given to you, you certainly don't shy away from it. It was a huge opportunity for him to ever even put me at the podium. So I'd like to ride this train and see where it leads me.
And you can explore that path with Connor Johnson when he takes his turn at the podium March 20th and 27th in the Spring Awakening Auction Series presented by our subsidiary company, Vintage Accents Auctions. Join in the excitement at vintageaccents.com. The program is produced, written, and edited for you by yours truly, Elizabeth McLeod, who wishes you smooth sailing and happy bidding for Auction Waves. Auction Waves is an exclusive presentation of Thomaston Place Auction Galleries in Thomaston, Maine.